You are listening to the CADDle Call podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of Zentec Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The CADDle Call podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the CADDle Call podcast with Jim and Rocco from the Zentec Consultants. I am Jim, the brains of this brilliant outfit, and with me, as always, is my partner,
Rocco. And what did you say? The brains?
Hey, look, I have the face, the beauty, the brains, and, people can't see the size of me, but I also have the brawn. And not in a good way. I'm just a pudgy fat bastard. That's what I am.
Wow, you feel okay today?
Nah, you know what? You're making me do this late on a Friday afternoon, this recording, and I'm tired. I'm done for the week, so I'm going to be a little punch drunk today. So, yeah, just roll with it. Leave me to my delusions, would you?
Okay.
Okay.
If you say so.
All right. Well, since you're telling me I ain't the brains, you know what that means. It means you got to be punished. So you know what it's time for? Yes. Once again, it's time for the engineering joke of the week.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. All right. So I was talking to an older engineer last week, right? And I asked him, what he thought about the next generation of kids who were coming up into the industry. And the guy says to me, he goes, I hate engineering students. Like, for example, I hated when engineering students called themselves engineers. Like, you don't hear med students calling themselves doctors, right? Or art students going around calling themselves unemployed. There you go. There's your joke of the week. But I'm fucked. Sorry. I think the voice makes it for me. You know what's great about that? You'd never know it, but that voice actually comes from a guy I worked with. One of the first engineering jobs I had, I worked with this really old engineer. His name was Leonard. And that's how Leonard talked. And it's actually a very good impression of Leonard. Used to make everybody in the company laugh. I did it well. So whenever I talk about an old engineer, you guys are going to hear Leonard. So
I hope he's not listening to this podcast, or he's going to come after you.
No, believe me, if Leonard's listening, he's 109 at this point. I don't think that's it. I think we're safe. God rest the man's soul. Goodness. All right, what are we talking about here today? Oh, I know. We're talking about better survey and site design tools without changing your CAD system. All right, so, look, one of the most common issues that we run into here at Zentec all the time, we talk to clients who, they call us and like, hey, we want to do better, we want to be faster, we want to be more efficient, and we want to pay less, right? They want to do all that with their design system. But honestly, they don't want the headache of actually changing from, what they already have and know, right? And that may sound silly, but I actually get that. Look, when you've invested decades of, fees and subscription costs and time and money spent training your staff and thousands of man hours just developing standards and workflows in one system, right? The idea of dropping all that and starting over again is absolutely horrifying. We have conversations with people all the time who will complain endlessly, right, about, unfair licensing practices and meaningless upgrades, right? Issues that have been known about but unresolved for years, and other terrible things about their current CAD setups. But, if we offer them like an alternative system, they immediately backpedal. Oh, no, we can't change, right? Nobody wants to be the person, who's pulling the plug on decades of effort and restarting from scratch. And I find it to be particularly true in the civil survey arena, right? Most of those folks, our clients, are so busy, and they traditionally have to run on such insanely tight profit margins that nobody even wants to think about starting back at square one again. And now I know that concept boggles poor Rocco's brain, right? He's always asking me, why wouldn't they want to move to a better system? But, if you're talking about, I think, like a simple tool, right? Something like your word processor or your email system, then sure, right? The benefits there are going to outweigh the potential risk, right? But in the design space, right, particularly infrastructure, these CAD systems are literally, they're the entirety of your business. It's what you produce. That's how you produce your end products and make your money, and taking risks with those threatens your livelihood, right? So, getting civil and survey people to switch CAD systems, it's like asking somebody to pull out all their teeth so you can replace them with beautiful ceramic ones that you never even need to brush. Ew, that's gross. But look, the idea sounds great, but I don't want to go through all that pain for something that maybe won't even work as well as what I already have right now, right? So that's kind of what we want to talk about today, right? How do you improve your infrastructure design process without changing to an entirely new CAD system? So Rocco, man, I know you talk with people about this all the time, right? What are the main reasons that they give you for not wanting to switch? And do you find that people respond better when you offer them systems that are plugins rather than replacements for their CAD system?
Yeah, I think the main reasons, it's not even money. I think the main reasons is trying to convince the collective to move. That's I think the biggest struggle. And yeah, introducing, the idea of plugins and telling people, look, you're not gonna give up what you have. We're adding on to what you have in an effort to improve productivity and get you to be able to be faster and better at what you do. Then it perks their ears up, and they're definitely willing to listen. And at the end of the day, with a product like what we're going to be talking about, civil site design and Stringer Topo, map maker, and so on, you're not giving up what you own, and you're not forcing anybody else to give up what they're used to using either. So
yeah, absolutely. And I agree. I find the same thing. It's almost never about the cost. They're not worried about that. They throw the money at it. But yeah, like I said, rebuilding their entire process from scratch is where people freak out. So look, most of us in this infrastructure space, right? We're working with Civil 3D, right? Which I have used for years and I love it. Even though regular listeners to the show know that I'm not always the biggest fan of Autodesk's licensing model. Look, I get that you don't want to move out of that space, right? And what we're going to focus on today are products that plug into, right, Civil 3D, AutoCAD, and BricsCAD, right, which are the three kind of big players in the modern civil CAD world. And I want to talk about some of the products that I really love, and I want to do it in sort of a field to finish order, if you will. That means we're going to start with survey tools, right? And the one that, for me, stands head and shoulders above everything else on the market is Stringer Topo, and it's from Civil Survey Solutions. Stringer Topo, it's just, this thing is an absolutely brilliant program, and it runs inside all of those big three CAD systems, right? Civil 3D, AutoCAD, BricsCAD, runs in any one of them you guys want to work in. So you get its benefits without having to change your underlying workflows or your company standards. Stringer Topo, it's just released its new version, right, which is compatible with the V23 release or whatever the latest release is of all those three systems. But what I really like about Stringer, it's the first truly graphics-based surveying CAD system that I've seen, right? You got tools out there like Carlson and Inroads and even Civil 3D itself. They're very text-based when it comes to, your point and your field data edits and creating those, where Stringer has this absolutely brilliant new interface that brings in any raw data file that you can conceive of, right out of your data collectors. And you can see where every shot was taken on either a 3D model or an aerial image of your site, right? So you can see, the real world site and where they were shooting, and you can perform edits and point reductions, etc., right? And you can watch those points update in real time in that 3D preview window. It's amazing, right? And not just that, but Stringer also has some great tools, right, in there for like commenting out and keeping track of changes from your original field data to the modified version that you're importing to your drawing. So if you need to go back, and it's all very, very graphic, and it's got this beautiful user interface that people really like. It's impressive as hell. So Rocco, how do you see folks reacting, right, when we show them the new graphic interface in Stringer, and where can listeners go to actually see that in action?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, they're hugely impressed with Stringer Topo as a whole. You know, it's interesting because we talk with a lot of folks on the survey end who are pretty behind in using the technology, right? I mean, they're still using AutoCAD, 2008 or even Land Desktop at some level.
Yeah, yeah.
And part of it is, I think part of it is that there just haven't been a lot of, there hasn't been a lot of advancement in technology for folks on the survey end. So when they look at a product like Stringer Topo, it's wow, this is awesome. This is for me. So
Yeah. Yeah.
how did they find out about it? Well, it's on our website at zentecconsultants.net. And you could see videos and content, and we'd be happy to set up a demo for you guys and show you the product in action as well.
There you go. Yeah, I know there's a couple of really nice, videos that show those graphic interfaces. I think it'll blow most of your minds. It's really cool. So you look, another aspect of Stringer that I'm a huge fan of is the way that it handles point imports. It can do all the traditional things that you get from native Civil 3D, like building point groups and descriptor keys and so on. But I think where it really shines is its automated drafting feature. Stringer handles like 95% of all your base map drafting automatically when you import your points. All right, now, yeah, look, I know you guys listening, right? If you know Civil 3D, you're thinking, hey, the Civil 3D survey database has tools for that. Absolutely true, but they're a nightmare to use. They generate figures instead of line work. And honestly, most surveyors avoid using that survey database whenever possible. Whereas Stringer, on the other hand, it's really simple to set up, and it generates your line work as both 2D and 3D polylines, right? Which are very easily editable, and you can even it even builds your surfaces for you, your existing surfaces, as part of the point import process. And what I really love about Stringer's field to finish process is that, like I said, it's going to generate a 2D line, right? Like, say, your top of curb. It's going to generate that as a 2D line at elevation 0 on the correct drafting layer for you, right? Nice, get your plan done. But at the exact same time, it's going to generate a second 3D polyline for that top of curb as a break line for surface generation. It's going to put it on a separate layer so you can freeze that, but still get the surface. It's all automated, all happening at once. And that's the kind of thing that I think that can literally save you days of work on every single one of your jobs. Stringer also has just an absolute ton of tools for doing like simple survey tasks, rather, excuse me. Closing out a building, right? If you only took 3 shots, it'll close it back out to give you a nice rectangle. Or you can, generate rectangles from a single point, right? Or, converting linear points to arcs around like a 3-point curve, right? With a single click of a button. It really is. It's one of those tools that you kind of really need to see in action in order to appreciate just how game changing it really is, right? Talking about that on a podcast, it just doesn't really do it justice, right? So do me a favor, folks. Call Rocco, right? Wake him up from one of his dozen or so daily naps, and he'll say, I just woke him up again. And he'll hook you up with a demo or a recording for Stringer, okay? So, all right, I tell you what, let's take a quick break so we can hear from today's sponsors. And we will be back in just a minute, folks, with more of the CADDle Call podcast. All right, everybody. Today's episode of the CADDle Call podcast is brought to you by Zentec Consultants. That's Rocco and I. We're bringing ourselves to you. Aren't we nice? So we wanted to talk to you guys today about some of the things that we offer at Zentec Consultants. In particular, we wanted to talk to you today about our offerings around developing and upgrading your CAD standards. We are here to help you guys with all of your CAD standard needs, from ongoing drafting and design support to block and library development, full CAD standards development, right? CAD version upgrades, really whatever it is that you guys need when it comes to developing, implementing, and tweaking your current CAD standards. Or like I said, if you don't have any yet, we can help you build them from scratch. So Rocco, why don't you tell all the good folks how they can reach out to us and start that conversation?
Yeah, there's a lot of information, people, on our website, zentecconsultants.net. That's ZENTEK consultants.net. Or you can give us a call, 866-824-4459. or even drop us an email, sales@zentecconsultants.net.
Ooh, nice. CAD standards from Zentec Consultants. You're listening to the CADDle Call podcast. All right, welcome back to the CADDle Call podcast, where we're talking about infrastructure tools that plug into the CAD systems that you already have. And in the first half, I talked about survey, right? And now I kind of want to talk about the design side of the process, right? Once we're past the existing condition stage, we still need to have, better, faster tools for designing roads and gradings and doing volume calcs and pipe networks and a dozen other things. Look, Civil 3D does all of that, and it does it well. But today we're focusing on better and not good enough. And here's where I want to talk about civil site design. And yes, that's a software system, not just the industry that we're talking about. It's civil site design, or CSD, which I find a little bit easier to say. And CSD also works inside of Civil 3D, inside of AutoCAD, or inside of BricsCAD. And big surprise, it is also a product that comes from Civil Survey Solutions, right? The guys who make Stringer Topo. And the best part of one company doing both softwares is this, right? That the Stringer Topo tool is fully integrated into the civil site design system. In other words, when you install CSD onto your CAD system, Stringer Topo comes with it. And that is a huge benefit, right? Not to mention a money saver, for mixed design houses, right? Those of you guys who handle both survey and design work, in the same company. And that's more and more of us these days. So, look, what does civil site design actually do for you? Well, it handles everything in the design space, right? You can build surfaces and gradings and roads and corridor design and pipe networks and profiles and sections and volume calcs. You name it, civil site design does it. The big thing, right, and why this is so beneficial for integrating into Civil 3D is that it handles all of those items, right? No exceptions, all of them, much more easily, much faster, and with integrated AI tools and features to generate designs in a fraction, and I do mean a fraction, of the time that you're used to putting in Civil 3D. Look, a great example of this is a roadway design for like a subdivision or whatever you're doing. So, imagine this for a minute, right? Imagine that you're trying to do in Civil 3D, right? 12 transitioning corridors with multiple lanes, right? With 8 intersections and 2 cul-de-sacs, right? For a residential development in Civil 3D. I mean, honestly, how long do you think that would take you, right? Look, if you're really good with Civil 3D, a couple of days to get that all done, right? And look, let's be honest, right? The intersections are still going to look terrible and need manual edits to the surface when we're all done with that. That's just the way they are. But I actually have a video out there, right, where I do all of that in under 15 minutes, all of it in 15 minutes using CSD, right? And that's the slow way of handling. So Rocco, right? Where can folks go to view that, number one, that CSD video I'm talking about, and in general, right? What kind of response do design people have when they see that kind of roadway design process?
Yeah, there's been a lot of holy.
Holy what? Listen, we're not a PG-13 show. You can say whatever you like. We can get NC-17 if we want.
Yeah, but you could see the video is, we have a YouTube channel that you could hit up, but of course it's also available on our website, zentecconsultants.net. And like I said, even with Stringer Topo, we're happy to set up a demo. It's we've even done custom demos for folks where we take their own data set. So it's definitely lots of options. But yeah, definitely hit up our website. And don't worry, you won't have to see Jim. You'll just have to hear him.
No one wants to see Jim. That's not a good thing. Jim's definitely meant for podcasts. We leave him there. So look, before we move off the civil site design program, one more thing I wanted to point out is that it is also 100% compatible with all of your Civil 3D objects and tools. So what I mean by that, you can use your Civil 3D alignments tools, or you can run Civil 3D profiles and sections and use those styles, etc. And they will work just fine with any civil site design built item, right? And as a point of fact, right, you can actually convert back and forth between civil site design surfaces and civil 3D surfaces in the same drawing, right? You can do the same thing with corridors and pipe networks, all with just the click of a button. So, even if you guys have, contractual obligations, right, that require, you to provide civil 3D deliverables to a specific agency or a client, you can still use the civil site design tools to get the work done in a fraction of the time, and then just click one button and convert them back to true civil 3D objects. And I'll be honest, I'll say, yeah, I do that, but I only do it if it's a contract requirement. Honestly, the civil site design objects they're much smaller, in terms of file size and memory usage, and their editing tools work way better than the civil 3D style system. So I tend to just leave all of my surfaces and roads, etc., as civil site design objects and just move on. Because all of that output, right, can be formatted to come in using, your own layers, your own line types, etc. So it's just kind of, you do a one-time setup for it, and then everything's set, for correct printed output. So I like it. And all right, so the next tool that I want to get into here is called MapMaker. And I think we may have talked about this one a couple times before on the show. And again, MapMaker is another plugin for Civil 3D, AutoCAD, and BricsCAD. Y'all kind of seeing a theme here, right? That more and more of these software developers are trying to, leave the CAD systems alone. Let's make ourselves compatible with as many of them as we can. All right. But MapMaker is focused around simplifying the process of labeling your meets, your bounds, your bearings for maps and parcels of any kind. And look, Civil 3D has some really nice labeling tools, right, for bearing and distance and so on, but they are noted for not being accurate enough for filed maps and deeds, right? There are some calculations issues that don't quite close out properly in Civil 3D and have never. MapMaker, excuse me, it simplifies and automates this process substantially, right? While still being infinitely more accurate than Civil 3D, particularly when it comes to working with curve data. And what's nice about MapMaker, kind of from the end user standpoint, it works with standard CAD items. All right. In other words, you don't have to have parcels and so on like you do with Civil 3D. It'll work with lines and arcs and polylines. All right, and it works with those effectively, just like it does with Civil 3D parcels. Right. And point of fact, right, you can not only label Civil 3D parcels with MapMaker, but MapMaker actually generates and builds and labels Civil 3D parcels for you from simple lines. So you can do basic offsets and copies of line work, and then when you're done, generate parcels instantly, which is really cool. Another great aspect of MapMaker is that it has the ability to auto-generate detailed reports, all right, and closures, and even deed and parcel legal descriptions with a great deal of accuracy and on templates that you can pre-structure with your company logos and headers and standard verbiage and so on. And that's a big time, it's a big time saver, I guess, for a lot of people. I'll even throw out that a tool like MapMaker moves beyond the design world, and it works amazingly well in the government space, particularly local government. Not only can MapMaker create labels and such from scratch, but it can flawlessly check and verify that all the labels that are on a plan, right, even if they're just basic text, that they all match up exactly to your drawn line work. It's a great tool for reviewing agencies to kind of verify submitted deeds and maps, and not have to spend hours and hours manually measuring every line segment and comparing it to what the listed label is for differences. So Rocco, yeah, I'll be honest about it, right? We work with MapMaker, and it's been a slow seller for us getting going with it, even though it's an absolutely amazing tool. Where do you think the disconnect is for people on getting MapMaker into their infrastructure toolkit?
I think it comes down to just awareness. Not a lot of folks know about it, and so that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah, there you go. It definitely helps you talk about things they don't know about.
Yeah. I think it comes down to awareness because, like you're saying, it is a great product and it's very, very affordable as well. Um, so check it out. Again, it's on our website. You
There
could
you go.
check out the videos and see it in action.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things I think everybody can use at some level. If you, particularly if you got survey and you're doing your as-built and stakeouts and you need to do tax maps and file maps and deeds, you need this. It's like Rocco says, it's a really inexpensive piece of software. But look, there are plenty of other survey and civil tools out there that can plug into your existing CAD system, right? And I encourage you guys to go out and look for those. All right, obviously I've been focused on the ones that we sell and that we work with here at Zentec, but the idea of adding more functionality to the CAD system that you have instead of trying to get you to change that CAD system, right? Especially in infrastructure, it's that concept has taken root in the software development realm, right? There was a time, right, when every system out there was its own CAD station, right? It's its own CAD process, like Bentley and Eagle Point and others, right? They all push their own versions of Civil CAD as independent systems, but they're all fading out really quickly. Look, let's face the truth, right? The CAD infrastructure battle is over, and be honest about it, Autodesk won. That war has been fought. It's done. And smart players out there are focusing on making the end user's life easier within that environment that you guys are working in, instead of trying to tumble the giant by nibbling on its toes. It's not going to work. Look, we all have our gripes with the big software houses and their licensing processes, but moving the CAD system entirely, all right, it's like pushing a boulder uphill with a wet rope. It's technically possible, but it's not an easy task. All right. Instead, get better tools that you can use inside the system you have, and that makes everybody happy, right? Remember, I think Rocco said this earlier, right? It's not usually an issue about getting your company to pay for a few more seats of software, right? That doesn't bother anybody. It's the idea of losing all that institutional knowledge and all those developed standards that freaks people out when you talk about changing your CAD system, right? So you can bypass all of that nervousness, and just look for better plugins, and that's all you need to do. Anything else you want to throw in there, Rocco?
I don't think so.
Rocco doesn't think. You heard it here first, folks.
What was that about the brains of the? What did you say?
It's what I just said. You don't think. I'm the brains of the outfit. Everybody knows. Appreciate your verification. That's all.
Oh boy.
The troublemaker. All right, folks. I'm gonna get out of here before my partner hangs me, and I will catch you all next time on the CADDle Call podcast. All right, everybody. Today's CADDle Call was brought to you courtesy of Zentec Consultants. That's Rocco and I. Zentec Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. Zentec strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to Zentec?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentecconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentecconsultants.net, or you can even call us 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from y'all.